If you watched my last video, I don't think I said it actually. Basically, I was preparing to go on a trip and this trip turned out to be a massive mistake. And you know, when you work on a project and then bad life things happen, and then you look back on part of the project you were working on during that time and you just want to scrap it? That's what I have. But it's a lot of work that would go to waste, so I'm trying to make something out of it. Just like a little vent, like some light gossip. So, welcome to my first drawing and healing diary entry. Today I'm talking about gossip and two-faced people, respectfully and vaguely and as generally as I can. The main focus of this video is red flags in friendships. Usually when people are talking about red flags, it's like the romantic ones, but I'm talking friendships or familial relationships or just non-romantic. So when I was a teenager, I'd kind of look for the same person in different people. Like, I was very shy and quiet most of the time, so I like to be around loud or like chatty and funny people with strong and sometimes controversial opinions. And then a little bit older, I found myself to gravitate to those kinds of people. And even on this trip I took, I realized that I still gravitate and overtrust and attach myself to these kinds of people still. And it was something that I thought I'd gotten over like 2 years ago, when I had to delete my personal Instagram and like go off the grid and you know, because a friend wasn't treating me in a way that a friend should treat a friend. Just a few red flags, examples of red flags that should be immediately obvious that it's a bad relationship. Guilt tripping, calling you names, e.g. slag. Calling you nice things and then seemingly out of nowhere something horrible, e.g. a good friend to a slag. Or another example, and I've been called this more than once, like a daughter to me. Both men and women have used this against me. They tell me that and then they make me believe that, and then a little bit later, and then completely say something else that goes against that. And lastly, getting upset with you for something that you didn't know you were doing wrong. It's one thing to be upset with someone and another thing to be angry with them after never confronting them. And like with any form of abuse, sometimes it's hard to just leave. For example, like school situations, it's hard to avoid someone you might have classes with. And sometimes you don't know who anyone will become. So you might meet someone and you think they're nice and you just don't know what they're like until you're in it, you know? I want to give one piece of advice, and I need to remember this too, that when someone, usually a woman or a person who spends a lot of time with women, currently or in the past, when they have no friends, or if they're a woman who says they prefer to spend time with men or people younger than them, that is a red flag, okay? There's always a reason why people don't have friends. And yes, there are different reasons, some harmless, but there's always a reason. And I think that you should always be cautious until you know why. Like, oh my god, let's talk about the pick-me girl, which is like a whole issue in itself. But when we pick apart the archetype, they're not very nice to be around. And why? Well, they say they prefer to hang out with men, and then they put down women for like no reason. Or they'll bring up the line, oh, I hate drama. Liar! In itself it causes drama, does it not? Just by saying that. But even if they're are people who think that they don't like gossip or the tea. I say deep down, everyone likes gossip. It's why we like films and TV or even story time videos on YouTube and other stuff like that. It's like technically gossip. It's so human to want to be in other people's business sometimes. It helps people to bond, and it's like sometimes a way to like monitor people's behavior, like neighborhood watch it, you know? And yes, there is nasty gossip that is used to actively harm people's reputations. But if someone's doing that, then they're not your friend. But if you find yourself as the subject of gossip, it means you exist. It means you're important enough that people want to talk about you, which is like a positive to take out of it, I guess. But the worst is when someone says they hate gossip and then talk badly about you behind their back, thinking they're above chatting shit. But yeah, some gossip is good, and sometimes it is used unfairly to get at someone for your own gain. And you're always going to get that. Anywhere, everywhere, because the world is built that way. And you can either work with it or you can work against it, and you'll have a hell of a hard time trying to fight an institutional system on your own. Plus, people forget eventually, and if people are gossiping about you and if they're thinking about you all the time, then they're kind of a loser, TBH. Anyways, so I think just the message is to, 1, more self-reflection, and reflection on the past can prevent you from making the same mistakes with different people. 2, people are complicated. You are complex and you should protect yourself first, but with consideration of the aftermath. You can drop someone and you still see them every day, or you can drop someone and the act of the ditching can cause the other person to do things in spite of you. You play a very dangerous game when you act straight on your emotions. Finally, 3, I've been friends with girls, I'm friends with women, and I can say that not all gossiping is nasty. And it doesn't have to be nasty. Like, I'm angry that people think that they can just hate on women because we gossip. And men and women hate on women for gossiping, but sometimes not all gossip is harmful. AITA, I like to gossip. Am I a bad person? By the way, gossip is like a pejorative. I think when we use the word tea, that's definitely a more positive word for it. But it's the same thing. Let me know if you like this format, and maybe I'll make more videos like this after this series. But maybe I'll be a little bit happier about it. I will be back next week with a video about my workaholism. So, well, that doesn't sound that interesting, but if you don't want to miss it, maybe subscribing would be a good idea. And as usual, all of my links are in the description, including my Ko-Fi page. I have some tips on being consistent on social media, and I have a watercolor painting series on relationships. So if you like hearing my thoughts here, maybe check out the Juliet's Touch collection on my Ko-Fi gallery. It's free, there's no sign up, nothing. So yeah, thank you for watching if you're still here.